Okay, so we're on to day 19 and we are so close. Not that this has actually been a difficult challenge for 21 days. It's this is actually quite good. I like the new videos that are different to the ones that are healthy habits. But of course, if you didn't do the healthy habits challenge, then all of this would actually be new. But I was just watching, I've actually already watched Dr. Lily Fraser, I think that's her name. If I scroll down here, yep, GP in Auckland, as she talk about how she adopted low carb as basically her way of eating, and that's what she's enjoyed. And she talks about the fact that for her, it took about 3 weeks for her to get over sort of like the cravings, going through that phase, but it took 6 months for her to actually be able to be comfortable with this way of eating. And the other thing about the actual routine when you're doing fasting as well. So yeah, it's not an overnight type of thing, but even with that time frame, and even if you actually go beyond that, never consider yourself as like falling off the wagon or everything else. If you feel like, if you're doing this like 90% of the time, like she says, then that's actually so much better than 100% of what we were doing before. All right, so all that progress is positive, reinforcing behavior change that you will know in yourself how good you feel. And the fact that it's like, every day is less painful or no pain. And you're able to actually maintain, whatever if the goal was weight loss, you're able to actually sort of maintain it and be able to just interact and communicate and go places. You don't have to sort of like think, oh my gosh, I can't go somewhere because I haven't got my particular meals. No, you can go places. You basically know the kind of foods that you eat, and that's the foods that you actually choose to eat, and you just disregard the rest. So she goes in a little bit about that. So I could actually relate a lot to her for my own personal one. I was 3 months basically vegetarian, very hardcore in the no sugar, no carbs, before I changed to a keto style thing and then eased into the low carb. Actually, keto is sort of technically, I don't know which one it is, because I chose the low carb, high fat because I feel like the keto one was just probably a bit more broad in that it was actually sort of suggesting, that there are a lot of recipes that you could do that, in the bakery kind of thing. And for me, I have to always be conscious of the sugar intake, and the carbohydrate intake. And I found that the low carb, high fat way of eating is a little bit more forgiving a bit with carbs. But where I get my carbs, I get it from whole food, real food. Like it would be, a piece of fruit, not fruit juice, a piece of fruit or some vegetables. And because there's carbs in those things. But like all things, there's good carbs, bad carbs. So I don't eat any processed food. What I do have, and this is where it says like your 90%, kind of thing, is that now and then, and I'm working on that. I would feel like one of the particular type of health protein bars, which is actually very high in protein, but it's also got quite a bit of substitute sugar in it. So it's got some kind of sweetener. But I'm really minimizing that down to so that it's just, it's only when I actually feel like I would actually like that one that I don't beat myself up about it or try to, sort of think, oh, no, I'll push through and, try to sacrifice. I will actually have it and I'll enjoy it. And that's the key thing. If you're going to have something, then enjoy it for what it is. And then you can make that decision afterwards, depending on how you feel about it afterwards, as to like, okay, I'm just going back. I'm just going to continue on now with, the way I have been eating 90% of the time. So that's all good. So this is just basically making it so it's beyond your 3-week challenge, making it into a habit, a routine. So it's something that you just do not even think about, right? So you're just waking up and it's the new normal. The new normal is I don't actually eat breakfast. I don't actually eat until like later in the day and things. And when I do eat, they tend to be, a couple of scrambled eggs with a bit of cream, salt, pepper, and I'll grate some cheese on it and make it an omelette. Put some avocado if I've got avocado, and that's it. Or fry up a bit of bacon if I want to, and that's actually what I eat. And it might be boring after a while, but then you think about it. I think about my diet before, and I'd wake up in the morning, and I think I used to have like 4 pieces of toast with just Vegemite and peanut butter and jam, sometimes honey. I mean, that's boring because that's all I used to actually have and things. So you just think about it. There's usually typical foods that you always eat. So to even sort of think maybe that this way of eating is actually quite boring, I think they're both the same in terms of what we mean by boring. Okay, so that is basically day 19. I've already taken a screenshot down here. Actually, I was interested in this one. In terms of spreads, the only spreads we actually have are mustard. It's either the Dijon or the whole grain mustard that we actually have with steak. So I was actually looking at that. I wonder what they actually have. All right, so they got the eggs, the Dijon, apple cider vinegar, olive oil, and water. What does it look like? Replace 1 egg with an egg yolk. Oh, okay. I guess I could give it a go. I actually gave Asian greens a go last night, and they look really nice. Let me see. Do I have a photo? Let me quickly see if I can actually get a photo of that. Oh, yeah, here, look. So we had the empanada. That's made out of almond flour and mozzarella cheese. It's actually a very easy one to make. But that's the Asian greens, and I've stuck some avocado onto that. So that was dinner last night. Now, I actually take my photos of my dinner because I'm doing the Tokelau Keola challenge. So I'm posting each day for at least for 8 weeks. This is day 26 today. So not quite halfway. Yeah, because there's 56 days, right? 8 weeks. Yeah. So I take photos, but obviously when I post it, it's like, this is dinner from last night, so I try to post it earlier. But yeah, I made the Asian greens, which were actually quite nice. So there were it was broccoli, beans, sugar snap, and snow peas, and bok choy. So and it was funny because Mel, when he saw that, he actually thought it was a raw salad, and he was looking forward to it. And you've got garlic and you've got ginger and seasonings like salt and pepper. But I actually told him, no. The recipe actually says that you just toss it for a few minutes in a very hot pan or wok. So that's what I did. And it was actually really yummy. But I added a little bit of oyster sauce. We got a bit of oyster sauce over here. And because oyster sauce is usually what they have with the like the Chinese vegetables. I don't eat Chinese takeaways anymore, but I do remember that they used to have oyster sauce in there. So I just put not much, just a smattering of it to just mix it around. But even without the oyster sauce, it was actually really nice. It's quite refreshing and crispy, even though it's actually been really hot when I was tossing it. So that was actually dinner. Empanada inside here is basically you can stick anything. A lot of the time we just make a mince. We just put up the mince up. I think this one actually had a bit of frozen vegetables that we sort of added to it just to give it a bit more veggie. But I'm more of a fan of fresh vegetables, just cutting that up. But Mel was making the stuffing, so he did the mince and basically some tomato paste and onion and garlic and just seasonings and and that just basically and I think it might have had some soya sauce as well. And then you just cool the stuffing, make sure it's all cool while you're making the actual dough, the flatbread. But like I said, the recipe to make that pastry is so easy and extremely fast. And then I just basically, flatten out the pastry, put the stuffing in it, make it over like a pasty, and then I'm putting it into the oven. And thanks. So there's always usually leftovers that we have of empanadas. I actually had 2 last night. I was actually quite hungry. And that's what it is. Your body will actually probably tell you when you are actually really hungry, and your body actually does tell you also when you're not hungry. So you shouldn't really be forcing yourself to eat if you're not hungry. But I had 2 of these empanadas, but there's still, a couple left over for the boys because they always like it the day after for lunch. So they've got that in the fridge. Okay. All right. So it's just to show you how I made the Chinese vegetables. And then basically there was an action click here to share your ideas with the community, which I did. I think the idea was how you're going to make this new normal. And what I wrote there was how I can make this way of eating the new normal is to see this as a normal routine. This is how and what I eat, just like how I used to see food. So I'm not thinking of what and when I eat as a diet or that I'm fasting. So it's one day at a time. And that's the thing with routine. You just repetitive action, and that's basically going to be part of the routine. And then it's like, well, okay, there's nothing really sort of to see here, and there's no sort of fad thing about it. So this is just the way you eat, and how I feel good from it. All right, so that was the activity. Well, I haven't quite. Might actually do this quiz. No, can't do the quiz unless it's actually going to tell me because I keep going backwards and forwards on the page. I'm going to try this thing because I already did see the video. So just scroll to the end.
Hopefully Precure has taught you some tools to help work on your health, and good on you all. So,
okay. And then let's see. Yeah, again. All right, so that's probably quite a glitch there, because if you're going backwards and forwards on this, for instance, because sometimes when you don't right click to open a new tab, so it's actually it's like replacing the existing tab with new information, and you do the back arrow to go back, is that error always going to come up? Because it's like because it's going to start repeating that video again. So yes, today, I can, because I don't eat more than 3, and I don't actually snack. So here's a bit of a tip on snacking. If you're going to snack, if you just feel like one of those small meals, either consider that as an actual meal that fits within the 3, right? Or eat a little bit more so that you've actually turned that snack into one of the meals, right? So yeah, obviously, depending on the reason why you're actually snacking, whether you are actually hungry, then just turn that into an actual meal and then count it. Because sometimes, like if I actually, I don't really snack, but I'm just thinking when I did have one of my keto chocolate chip muffins one time, I just had that on its own. And then I thought, do I feel like actually eating a bit more on that? I didn't at the time. I just felt like that's all I wanted to eat. Because I didn't eat breakfast, and I think it was later on in the day anyway, so I didn't actually have lunch. So I was able to count that as one of those meals, right? So that's why I can actually say that I don't actually eat a maximum 3 meals a day, because that's what that is implying is a way that we used to eat, with breakfast, morning tea, lunch, afternoon tea, dinner, and then sometimes supper, right? So sometimes up to 6 times a day we're actually eating things. So if I go, yes, have I eaten foods off my green estate? No, actually didn't. I'm off the green list, so I'm going to say that. And have I completed my daily 10-minute lesson? Well, I actually did watch that Dr. Fraser's video earlier. Yes, and I go finish quiz. So that's day 19. And then that goes on to tomorrow, the DBT. What is a DBT rule? Okay, well, that actually sounds interesting. But I will watch this one tomorrow when I record it, because this one's actually already going too long. All right, so catch you later. Bye.